The man had been lying on the sandy surface for a long time, but he didn't dare move an inch because behind him was a cliff. One slight mistake and he would fall. He gripped the ground with all his strength, but the fine sand couldn't support the man's weight. He suddenly began to slide down. In this desperate moment, he had to press his face against the ground. Only then did he barely manage to stop. Just then his girlfriend called him. The man desperately clutched the ground with his right hand, keeping his face pressed tightly against the sandy slope. His left hand unzipped and reached into his backpack. He was about to succeed, but the next second, he finally stopped at the edge of the cliff. Now he didn't dare move at all, because behind him were sharp rocks. 2 more hours passed. By now the man's arms were gradually losing strength. He was on the verge of collapse. The man looked at the waves below and began muttering something. He was calculating the cycle of the waves hitting the shore. If he could use the waves to land in the water, he would still have a chance to escape. If he failed and landed on the rocks, the outcome would be tragic. As he finished counting down, the man quickly let go. He successfully landed in the water, but due to the strong impact, his waist still hit the rocks. Fighting through the intense pain, he struggled to surface. However, the real test had just begun. He struggled to climb onto a reef. After catching his breath, he began to check his body. Fortunately, his hand only had a small cut, nothing serious. But when he stood up to take a step, he suddenly collapsed, his head directly hitting the rock. When he regained consciousness, he discovered his spine was dislocated. His legs had lost all feeling. Enduring the excruciating pain, he quickly took out his phone from the bag, but the phone had been waterlogged and couldn't be used. Besides this, he also had a book. He could only shout loudly for help, but there were only waves around him. In front of him was a steep vertical cliff. Behind him was the endless ocean, with no other option. He took off his clothes to treat his wounds simply. He lay on the rock watching airplanes flying high above. At this moment, his heart was filled with utter despair. To conserve energy, the man lay on the rock and slowly drifted to sleep. When he woke up again, he calmed himself down. Continuing like this wasn't going to work. He began to observe his surroundings. Climbing up the cliff was almost impossible. Then he noticed a small island in the distance. This was his only hope for survival, so he put on his backpack and plunged into the water.